Hi everyone, and thanks for tuning in. So we noticed that BIM often gets messy the moment a project starts changing. And that's why Qonic lets you handle modeling and data in a single workflow, keeping you in control without having to switch tools. And this update is all about refinements, keeping things fast and solid, no matter how complex your projects get. So we'll walk you through two areas today. First, how we handle coordination feedback with BCF Import, and then a set of modeling improvements that make day-to-day work more precise without slowing you down. My name is Barbara, and Jacob will show you everything in Qonic as we go. We'll start with coordination. In many projects, issues live outside the model. They end up in emails, Excel sheets, or separate viewers. And that makes it surprisingly hard to understand what's actually been decided or which issues are still relevant and whether something has already been resolved in the model. And with the BCF import, we bring that feedback directly in the model as a structured issue you can act on instead of loose comments.
Yeah, so Qonic now supports BCF import within the issues panel. So the issues panel can be found on the right-hand side here, where we can either create new issues from scratch or import existing ones through a BCF file. So here I can just import a BCF file, and it will automatically create these issues in my panel. So here I can see this file actually contained 3 issues. I can see them listed here in the issues panel itself, or I can actually see some sort of location bubbles here in the model to show you where exactly those issues are. So let me click one of those issues to show you. The first one, apparently it's about doors on the ground floor needing some sort of handicap accessible property assigned to it. Just clicking the issue automatically selects all the relevant objects, takes me to the correct point of view. And from here, I can, of course, resolve the issue because Qonic is not just a viewer, it's an actual authoring platform. So I can start to add these properties to my doors. So let's say these doors are accessible. Let's take a look at the second issue here. First, actually, I'll resolve this first one because I've solved this. Now, the second issue is apparently about the geometry of some stairs. Apparently, there's a sort of clash between the stair and the floor slab here. And again, because Qonic is a modeling application, I can actually resolve this issue. Now, actually, when I look at the selection set here, I can see that all of the stairs and slabs in this model were selected. Maybe this issue means to say that there's actually multiple issues, multiple clashes. So just to be sure, let me just run a clash check on the selection here. So I'll check whether there are any other clashes between these stairs and slabs. And here I can indeed see that there's 12 issues here between stairs and slabs, which I can individually visualize here. It's actually all the same issue where the stair is kind of overlapping with the slab geometry. So again, let me just quickly resolve this. I'll select all the stairs and I'll subtract the volume from the slabs from them to make sure this clash is resolved. Just to double check, let me run the same clash check again. And looks like no clashes are detected, so now indeed the geometry is properly adjusted so that the overlap is gone. So that's the second issue resolved. And now for the final issue, looks like there's a window in this model that needs to be enlarged to be the same width as the other windows around it here. So there's also a little screenshot that came with it to signify exactly how this needs to be modified. So it looks like I need to widen this window to the left here so it aligns with these other ones. So for that, I will use the stretch tool and I will snap to the frame of this window beneath it here. So that looks better. Let me just double check whether the widths are actually correct. So the width of this window now is 1800 mil, which is the same for the other windows around it. So that issue appears to be resolved as well. So let me just resolve it here. So super easy to just import existing issues into Qonic and actually start resolving them in the same platform.
Yeah, it's impressive to see how easy it is to resolve these issues. In practice, this will save teams several hours per week simply because they spend less time checking data and moving between tools. Okay, the second part of this release focuses on modeling. We've added the ability to draw circles and rectangles directly from the chalk menu, and you can use these sketches as a base to extrude or push-pull.
Alright, so indeed Qonic now supports drawing circles and rectangles directly on geometry or on the XY plane. So let me demonstrate this. I'll select this wall here and I'll just simply use the rectangle tool to create some rectangles. It's actually a combination of chalk curves in the shape of a rectangle. And as you can see here, I can already also snap to existing chalk curves here. So as I can see, I can neatly align these curves together. It's actually also one of the new features in this release is the ability to snap to existing 2D geometry like chalk curves and circles. So these are some rectangles, same goes for circles, so I can now use the circle tool to actually create this geometry here. Let's go for another rectangle maybe, and maybe another circle. Alright, so I've drawn some circles and rectangles on this wall. Let me actually use this geometry, this 2D geometry now as an input for further geometry manipulation. So I'll select these boundaries here and push-pull them to create kind of depressions into this wall up to a certain depth, just like this. Now, another improvement we've made this month is the ability to create selection windows around sub-entities. So what I mean by that, so sub-entities are things like faces and edges, which are accessible through this special selection mode called Deep Select. So when this is enabled, I can see I can now select faces, edges, and so on. This was already existing functionality. What we've now added on top is the ability to create selection windows around sub-entities. Like for example, if I want to select some faces in combination like this, I can actually select multiple faces in one selection. And you will see here at the top, when I start creating the selection window, I have the option to cycle between bodies or solids, faces, edges, and chalk curves. So for example, I can choose to maybe select all the faces of this geometry here, all these opening faces, and start push-pulling them simultaneously. So for instance, if I want to make all of these openings a bit smaller, I can simply push-pull all of them together to create some smaller openings. Or maybe I want to select all of the middle faces here to modify the depth in one go like this. Or maybe to actually give it some other geometric changes, like for example, let's say I want to apply a rotation to the back faces of these openings to make sure all of these openings are kind of aligned in a certain way. So let's say 5 degrees, like this for instance, ensuring that all of my openings are kind of rotated like this. Same goes for things like edges. So maybe I want to apply a rounded corner to some of these edges, and instead of selecting these edges individually, I can actually select them using a selection window, and then the push-pull tool allows me to create a fillet like this, for instance. So very versatile tool for easily selecting bodies, faces, edges, and chalk curves in one go instead of selecting them one by one.
So while this release is all about refinement, the impact is measurable. Better coordination through BCF imports and more predictable modeling through a set of focused improvements. In practice, teams save 2 to 6 hours per user every week simply because the coordination, the checking, and the fixing is all happening in one place. It was great having you here. We don't just ship features, we solve problems. If there is a part of your daily process that still feels like a hurdle, reach out because your input is valuable. Also, the new release is live at app.qonic.com. It works straight from your browser. You don't have to install anything. Thanks for watching and see you next month. Bye-bye.
Bye.